सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। हरि ओम। Welcome to this 43rd episode of Vision of Vedanta. We are looking into this last episode of Atma Bodha by Bhagavan Sri Adisankaracharya. Yesterday we saw up to 60 verses. This self is neither thin nor gross nor long, nor short, nor subtle, and it does not have a form, it does not have any color. This, how do we understand it is, when you say I, the word I, the meaning of I, doesn't actually have a form, doesn't actually have the meaning of the word I, which everybody uses, not our misunderstood I of this body. The I that everybody says, I am, I am, I am. That word does not have any form. It does not have any color. It is not either long or short or thin or fat or tall. It is not any of these things. And it does not have any qualities. When you say I, there is no quality. There is just I. That is that Brahman. Tat Brahma iti avadharayet. Know that that is the Brahman that you are seeking, that you are searching. The 61st verse, Yad bhasa bhasyatir kadi bhasyair yattu na bhasyate yena sarvamidam bhati tad brahmeti avadharayet. Yad bhasa, by the light of this consciousness, bhasa, bhasyate arkadi, sun, moon, stars, lightning, anything that shines, fire, light, everything that shines is shining because of the light of this consciousness. How you can say everything that we experience from outside is only because of consciousness is experienced within us. For example, there is a ball of light on that cupboard, or there is a light of this lamp here. You are watching the light of the lamp through the eyes. In the mind, through the eyes, the reflection of the light of the lamp is appearing in the form of a thought. So you get a lamp thought, a ghee lamp thought is appearing in your mind. How do you see that thought in your mind? We are experiencing that lamp only because we are experiencing this thought in the mind. How do we see this thought in the mind? We see this thought in the mind because of awareness. Because of that light of consciousness, you are seeing this thought. In the same way, this lamp appears to the light from the tube light or the light from the sun or light of the moon. The process is the same. The moonlight falls on the eyes and then gets reflected as light from the moon. It's a thought of moonlight. Who is observing that thought? Consciousness is observing that thought. Yad bhasa bhasyate arkadi. Because of that light of consciousness, the sun, moon, and all the shining hordes, the luminous orbs in the sky are illuminated because of the light of consciousness. Bhasyaihi yaha tu na bhasyate. These luminous orbs, even though they are shining because of this light of consciousness, they cannot throw their light on this consciousness. Because of the light of the sun or light of the moon, we are not able to experience a thought within us. The thought within us is enlivened by that consciousness within, and that consciousness cannot be revealed by the sun, the moon, or the lamp. That is the reason why when we do the arti for any deity, we chant this mantra, Na tatra suryo bhati, the sun cannot shine, whom the sun cannot shine, that consciousness. I'm showing this lamp, this camphor, I'm showing to whom na tatra suryo bhati, where the sun cannot show its light, na chandra, the moon cannot cast its light on consciousness, tarakam, the stars cannot, the light of the stars cannot illumine this consciousness. Na ima vidyuto bhanti, even the lightning cannot illumine this consciousness. Kuto ayam agnihi, then how can this fire of camphor illumine this consciousness? But I am showing that fire. Kutoyam agnihi tame, how does that consciousness get illumined then? Tameva bhantam, that consciousness illumines itself by itself. Tameva bhantam, and illumining being of the nature of light itself, anubhati sarvam, it shines its light on everything else. Tasya bhasa, because of that light of consciousness, sarvam idam vibhati. Everything in this universe, every object in this universe is revealing itself to us because of the light of this consciousness. In yesterday's one verse, we saw that this consciousness is mixed in us like how butter is mixed in milk. So that is that consciousness we are talking about. In every particle of milk, there is butter. In every particle of this I, there is consciousness. So, yena sarvam idam bhati, because of this light of awareness, light of consciousness, all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the emotions, and all the objects of perception, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, and all the objects of action like speaking, walking, holding, excreting, reproducing. All these actions are enlivened by that consciousness only. Yena sarvam idam bhati, that consciousness, that Brahma, I am, iti avadharayet. Tat Brahma, iti avadharayet. Focus on that experience or thought which leads to that experience, that this consciousness which shines its light on everything and which cannot be illumined by anything, that consciousness I am. I means the same I that we used to refer to ourselves only, but the expanse of that I has got to the level of consciousness. स्वयमन्तर्बहिर्व्याप्य भासयन्नखिलं जगत् ब्रह्म प्रकाशते वह्निः वह्निः प्रतप्तायस पिण्डवत्. So yesterday was that beautiful example of butter in milk. Here there's another example of this consciousness, how it is present in us. It is present like pratapta ayasa pindavat. An iron ball is being heated. Iron is cold. Iron is dark, black or gray in color. Iron has got this color property. Fire has got no form, and fire is of the color of lights, the shade of orange, yellow lights. Whereas iron is dark gray. When this iron ball is put in fire, this fire is shining, heating up this iron ball completely from within and without. The iron ball the fire looks round, and the iron ball, which is cold in nature, is hot. The iron ball, which is dark, appears bright, and fire, which is formless, appears round in form. In the same way, this consciousness, which is present everywhere, in every particle, in every inch of this body from head to foot, body, mind, intellect, it pervades everything. It is most pervasive part of our being is consciousness. So this consciousness, Swayam Antarbahihi Vyapya, this consciousness pervades within us, meaning within this body, and the thoughts, the feelings, emotions, everything is pervaded, the sensations, our experiences is pervaded by this consciousness. Antar. Bahihi, outside, every object in this universe is pervaded by that consciousness. You can take the example of space. Inside, the body is pervaded by space. Outside, the same space pervades everything. In the same way, consciousness or awareness is awareness of space. Something that's aware of space. Space is an object for consciousness. So consciousness is more subtle than space. That consciousness pervades inside, pervades outside also. Bhasayan Akhilam Jagat. This consciousness illumines this whole universe. Akhilam, this entire Jagat means everything that moves and stays in this universe is pervaded by consciousness, is enlivened by consciousness, is revealed by consciousness. Only consciousness, awareness is giving us the experience of the presence of every object in this universe and the presence of this whole universe also. Brahma prakashate vahnihi. Brahma means that self, Brahman prakashate, it shines everywhere. The I shines everywhere. The self shines everywhere. How does it shine? Like the fire heating an iron ball. This iron ball is our earth. This iron ball is our whole universe, including our body. And the fire heating up that earth, heating up this whole universe, heating up this body. Heating up means it's not really heat. It is a very cool heat, like the heat of the moon. You can even, like the sun, the light of the sun is reflecting on the moon. In the same way, consciousness is expressing through this universe, through our body, mind, and intellect, and through this earth. Brahma prakashate vaknihi pratapta ayaf pindavat. Ayasaf pindavat. Pratapta ayasah pindavat. Just like the iron ball that is heated shines with the light of the fire, in the same way, our body, if this body has got shine while we are living, shine means the little bit of light which expresses through the body that makes everybody aware that we are there. When the person is dead, when the body is dead, everybody is really afraid to go near, or unless and until it is very much required, we do not touch, because that fire of consciousness, that light of consciousness has stopped expressing through the body as the shine. That is why there is a difference that is there between a living body and a dead body. The living body is called Shivam. The dead body is called Shavam. When in that life, in that Ikara in Shivam, that consciousness is there. When that light goes away, when that light is not expressing through the body, then it loses its auspiciousness. So, like this, in the same way, this earth, this universe, and the body is shining with the light of consciousness. 63rd verse. Jagat vilakshanam brahma brahmanonyanna kinchana brahmanyat bhati chen mithya yatha marumarichikam. Jagat vilakshanam brahma. This Brahma is I. This Brahma means I or consciousness is something other than the universe. Jagat. Universe means Jagati iti Jagat. That which keeps changing and moving is called universe. Consciousness is different from this Jagat. Brahmanaha anyana kinchana. Even though it is different from this Jagat, there is nothing else other than consciousness. Consciousness is like that screen in the cinema, and on the screen, all the moving images are being reflected. Actually, we are engrossed in the movie images, in the story, in the feelings, in the emotions, in the thoughts and the perceptions, that we don't have an attention on the screen at all. After all, it is only the screen that enables the movie. In the same way, this Jagat is different from Brahma. The images in the screen are different from the movie screen, Brahma, but at the same time, it is because of that movie screen only we are able to see the images. In the same way, because of the Brahman alone, we are able to see this Jagat. Brahmanaha anya na kinchana. There is even a little bit is not other than this Brahman. Brahman yad bhati, Brahma anyad bhati, chain mithya. If something else appears to us other than Brahman, when suppose you say this laptop or the computer screen or mobile phone with which you are watching this, it is not Brahman. Anya bhati chet. If you say something is other than Brahman, what is experienced as some object is mithya. Mithya means it has got a name and form are temporary. They are not permanent. Brahman is permanent. The name and form superimposed in Brahman is temporary. It comes and goes. Mithya, yatha, how is it mithya? How is it an illusion? Yatha maru marichika. In the desert, water appears. That water is not real. It is just because of the presence of light and heat in the desert sand, and water is expressing as vapor. The vapor particles in the desert is shining as if there is water, and a deer or a human being who goes running behind that water will never be able to quench his thirst because the water is actually not there. In the same way, we are going behind objects in this earth, in this universe, thinking those objects are there and they are going to quench our desires, they are going to satisfy our desire for happiness. We will be going on searching because those objects are not there in the first place. And even if you think they are there, even if you think you can hold them, they are not going to ultimately quench your happiness. They are not going to satiate your happiness because It is not possible. The happiness is only within, and that happiness is possible only in Brahman, the realization of that truth, reality. 64th verse. Drishyate shruyate yadyat brahmanonyana tad bhavet tatvajnanacha tad brahma satchidanandamadvayam drishyate shruyate yadyat. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, Brahmanaha anyana tad bhavet. It is not anything other than Brahman. Brahman alone is appearing as the sounds that you hear. Brahman alone is appearing as the forms that you see. Same way, Brahman alone appears as the smells that we experience. Brahman alone appears as the taste that we experience. Brahman alone appears as the different feelings that we experience through our skin. Tattvajnanacha tad Brahma Satchidanandam Advayam. That Brahman is Tattvajnanat. How it cannot be, everything else cannot be other than Brahman. All the sounds and all the forms that we see, that knowledge of with this knowledge of that reality, Brahman, attaining the Tattva Jnana. Tattvam means I am that Brahmamayam, Tanmayam. Tattvam means I am of that form of Brahman. That is, knowing that is Tattva Jnana. Or knowing my essence. What is the essence of every human being or every living being? When we know it outside, we know it as Ishvara or life. When we know within us, we experience it as Brahman. Tattva Jnanacha. Tat Brahma. That Brahman, through this knowledge of the self, I experience that Brahman as Sat. Sat means I am. I am there. There is no doubt about it. Everybody experiences our presence as I am. No one experiences our own presence as I am not. Nobody says I am not. Everybody says I am. That is Sat. Chit means I am. I know I am. Does anybody have to come and tell me, am I there when I am awake? Are you there? Somebody asks. Do we say, wait, let me shine the light of torch, or let me read this book and then find out if I am there? Let me go and look into the mirror and see if I am there. We don't say that. We say, yes, I am there. So that is Chit, that aspect of Brahman, which reveals itself by itself, which knows itself by itself. Satchit, Anandam. Anandam, this is the aspect where we really don't realize. We think joy is from outside. Joy is because the presence of this Brahman is of the nature of Ananda. Ananda means joy. Ananda means bliss. The nature of Brahman itself is bliss. Satchit Anandam Advayam. And that Brahman alone is nothing else other than that Brahman is there. These are very beautiful verses for meditation. Verse 65. Sarvagam Satchidatmanam Jnana Chakshur Nirikshate Ajnana Chakshur Niksheta Bhasvantam Bhanumandhavat. If you hear, there's a difference between Jnana Chakshu and Ajnana Chakshu. Jnana Chakshu means the eye of wisdom, the eye of knowledge, through the thought, not through the physical eyes. The physical eyes is Ajnana Chakshu. Jnana Chakshu, physical eyes is also Ajnana Chakshu. The mind is also Ajnana Chakshu. Jnana Chakshu is a buddhi, basically steady thought. So Sarvagam Sat Chit Atmanam. Sarvagam means this eye. When we close our eyes, this Sat. that consciousness which exists, Chit, that consciousness which reveals itself, Atmanam, I, Jnana Chakshuhu Nirikshate. I am able to experience it through the Jnana Chakshu. Jnana Chakshu means the Shastras talk about the presence of the Brahman within. The Guru also talks what the Shastras say and explains it to us. And then we have the thought, we have heard that thought. The thought is there, and we are contemplating on that thought. That is the Jnana Chakshu. When we contemplate, the Jnana Chakshu will reveal it to us in the state of meditation, contemplation. Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhithyasanam. Shravanam, when I listen to it, it is not there that doubt goes away. What is this Brahman? There is no Brahman inside me. The doubt will go away when I listen to it from the right source, from the Upanishads and the Guru who expounds from the Upanishads. Shravana. Even after I listen, I will have doubt. How is it possible? That will go away when I do mananam, when I go on, rotate the thought from all angles, I study the thought, I reflect on that thought, then the thought gets purified and I experience it through that thought that yes, this Brahman is there within me for sure, without any doubt. There is no other thought that disturbs this thought. That is mananam. And then finally, even after mananam is also an activity which I do with my mind. Finally, when I drop all activities of mind and all listening from outside and I meditate on that thought, I apply my attention, I focus my attention on that thought which I have held within me in contemplation. I meditate on that by quietly allowing the reflection of consciousness, that light of consciousness to fall on that thought, on that experience, on that feeling of supremeness, on that feeling, on the qualities of that Brahman. Then what happens is that Brahman shines by itself in me. Jnana Chakshur Nirikshate. But this Brahman cannot be seen by the Ajnana Chakshu. What is the Ajnana Chakshu? The eye of ignorance, not exactly the physical eyes. The physical eyes can see only names, forms, and objects outside in the world. We are talking of seeing something within. The Ajnana Chakshu is the mind. The mind that experience senses, the sense objects from without is only experienced by the mind. That is the eye of, that is the Ajnana. Ajnana means ignorance. The mind is not aware of the self, and the mind projects the not self, that is the body, as the I, self. So this Ajnana Chakshuhu na iksheta. Through this eye of Ajnana, I will not be able to see. Bhasvantam, how I will not be able to see? It is not because the consciousness is not shining within. The consciousness is evident within, but still the eye of ignorance cannot see it. Like the person who is vision impaired cannot see the light of the sun. Even though the sun is shining, that person cannot see because they are not having the power to see. In the same way, the mind does not have the power to see this consciousness because the mind is much more gross than the intellect, and consciousness is more subtle than the intellect. Only the intellect has got the power to grasp this consciousness, not the mind. Ajnana Chakshuhu na iksheta. Ajnana Chakshu means by that feeling, by any emotion, you cannot grasp consciousness. Consciousness is grasped only by knowledge. It is not grasped by emotion. Ajnana chakshuhu na iksheta bhasvantam bhanum andavat. Like the person whose vision impaired cannot see the sun. In the same way, the mind, this consciousness is not available for the knowledge, for the mind to know. 66th verse. श्रवणादिभिरुद्दीप्त ज्ञानाग्नि परितापितः जीवः सर्वमलान् मुक्तः स्वर्णवद्योतते स्वयं. Swarnavat dyotate swayam. This consciousness is shining like gold within. How can it shine for us within? Shravanadibhihi uddipta. This sense organ of hearing is shining with that light of consciousness because of Shravana, hearing, basically hearing, and the mind. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana means listening, Manana means contemplating, Nididhyasana is to meditate. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Uddipta, it is shining. Jnanagni Paritapitaha, that thought within, that knowledge within is being tortured or heated up by Jnana Agni, by that light of awareness, by that light of consciousness. This thought is molded nicely like gold is being melted. Jivaha, this gold which is being melted inside is the jiva, that life, that self, the I thought that is being smelted inside because of Shravanam from outside and Mananam from inside. It is being heated up. And when heating happens, Sarva Malan Muktaha, all the impurities in the form of repetitive tendencies or ignorant thoughts, those impurities are all gone. Jivaha Sarvamalan Muktaha. Swarna. Then what happens? When this Jiva is free of all the dross, is free of all the impurities, this Jiva shines like gold. Swarnavat Dyotate Swayam. A person who is given to this life of contemplation, this life of meditation, this life of purification of the mind, of the Jiva, he shines like brilliant gold, free of all impurities. That consciousness within that person shines. Now the last beautiful verse. Hridakashodito hyatma bodha bhanus tamopahritam sarvavyapi sarvadhari bhati bhasayate akhilam bhati bhasayate khilam hridakasha uditaha hi atma. This I is rising in this space of the heart. What is the space of the heart? The place where we experience love. When we say our heart is filled with love, that is that space where we experience consciousness. We are aware of that love. We are aware of that swelling of the heart. Swelling of the heart means it's not the real physical heart. It is that feeling, the swelling of that feeling. We are aware. That is a hridakasha. Uditaha. In that space, this Atma is rising, as if rising. It is always there, but when every other feeling goes away, then the feeling of the self is experienced. Bodha Bhanu, Bhanuhu. Bodha Bhanuhu means the sun of knowledge. The sun of knowledge rises here in the heart space. Tamaha Apakruta. Rising in that heart space, it removes tamas. It removes tamas means it removes that layer. There is a mild layer of, caused by this whole presence of the body. And because of the presence of the body, the mind is reflecting the body. That reflection is this layer which is hiding consciousness, which is hiding reality, which is hiding truth. Truth. When this light of knowledge is shining brilliantly, that layer, that semi, it is not a physical layer. That layer of I don't know dissolves. That layer of I don't know is there in the time of sleep. And we are not doing anything in the time of sleep, so everything is very cold and frozen. So that layer is very strong. But when we wake up and sit in meditation, that the activity that we do in contemplation and meditation, it generates that heat of knowledge, that heat of awareness is generated, and this layer begins to dissolve little by little. Sarvavya bodhavanustamo apahrita. This bodhavanu, this light of consciousness, it removes that layer of ignorance. Apahrita. It is like I have covered my vision of understanding with a thin screen. The more and more I meditate, that screen it melts down, that screen melts and dissolves, and then Sarvavyapi Sarvadhari. I experience this consciousness. Where is this consciousness? I. There is consciousness, not something else. Brahman, Sarvavyapi. I am everywhere. Sarvadhari. I am the support of everything. Sarvadhari. Bhati. That consciousness reveals itself, shines. Bhasayate akhilam. That consciousness is what reveals this whole world to me. This experience that is described here, 68 was the last. This experience that is described here is only to give us the phalashruti. Like, if I know the self, what happens when we practice this, when we listen to this, when we meditate upon this, we don't know what point of time it will happen in our life, or in which lifetime it will happen, but it is surely bound to happen. And simultaneously, when we also work out the vasanas that we have, the impurities or the attachments with the world outside, we are practicing on one hand abhyasa, and we are detaching on the other hand vairagya, and we are also working on purification of our mind. Simultaneously, when these happen, this knowledge shines by itself within us. And so the 68th verse of Atma Bodha, the last and lovely verse, Digdesha Kaladyanapekshya Sarvagam Shitadihrinnitya Sukham Niranjanam Yasvatma Tirtham Bhajate Vinishkriyaha Sa Sarvavid Sarvagato Mrito Bhavet Iti Atma Bodha Samaptaha. Dig Desha Kaladi Anapekshya Sarvagam. The one person who does not give any importance to the directions, meaning the objects in all the directions. Dig. He does not give any importance to the space. He does not give any importance to time. When we cease to give importance to something, our attention withdraws from that. Our attention goes only to where we give value, where we attach value. There, our mind is, our attention is. When we remove the value from all these things, like directions, means looking here and there, going here and there, dig, desha, to visiting this place and that place, or getting enamored by some places, whether it's a home, or whether it is the office, whether it is our town and city, whether it is all the different places we can visit, or whether it is different countries. We remove our awareness from there. We remove our awareness from time. Which planet is going where, what planet is influencing, what is the astrological position which is causing these instances in this world. Remove our awareness from all that. Anapeksha means not considering all that. Sarvagam, and this consciousness which is everywhere. Sarvagam, Shita Adi Hrid. Shita Adi Hrid, Nitya Sukham Niranjanam. This consciousness destroys all the other experiences of heat and cold. When we get absorbed in this consciousness, we don't feel the heat of the atmosphere or the coldness of the atmosphere. All that is removed from us. All those experiences go away. It is just like making a shift in our consciousness, shift in our mind. When we bring our attention to that consciousness, the everything else gets detached from us. It happens in the state of deep meditation. Shitadihrin Nitya Sukham Niranjanam. Nitya Sukha means you experience constant joy, constant bliss is experienced. Niranjanam, that bliss is spotless. It is not somewhere I suffer and in between after 10 minutes I experience bliss. No. It is experience of bliss 24/7, all 365 days a year. Niranjanam. Yes, yaha swatma tirtham. So this is that lake of the self, beautiful lake of the self. Yaha, that person, meaning that mind, that subtle body which is contemplating on this. This is not for the gross body. Gross body is only present. All these experiences, all these practices are given for our subtle body, consisting of the mind, the chitta, means the objects which have to go, which have to leave us by the process of purification. The mind, which has to be negated, meaning there is no mind. When all objects of our senses go away, we don't experience a mind separately. There is no mind, meaning there are no other feelings and thoughts that are happening. Then buddhi. Buddhi is the intellect, the steady thought of sattva guna, which is the one that is sitting in meditation. And then ahankara, the I which is identified with that buddhi and sitting with the buddhi, with the intellect. That person, the I and the intellect, who is yaha swatma tirtham, they are getting dissolved within into that lake of consciousness, bhajate, and they are immersed in that. Vinishkriyaha, they don't come out into the world and do this and that work, think this and that thought, have this and that feeling. They don't do all that. They just immerse within in that state of consciousness. Sa Sarvavit, that person is a Sarvajna. Sarvavit, he knows everything that needs to be known. Sarvagataha, that person becomes consciousness, because when that intellect melts into consciousness, when the thought, that awareness of consciousness, the thought of consciousness really melts into that true consciousness within, he becomes Sarvagataha. He is like consciousness, everywhere, present everywhere. Amritaha, like consciousness, he is immortal. That person, there is no he or a she. That person becomes it, immortal. There is no death and there is no rebirth also. Bhavet. With this, we will go back to the first verse of Atma Bodha, so that we complete the circle. All these texts are not linear, they are a circle. You go on studying them again and again and again, and that process of churning the mind with these thoughts will help us to purify the mind. And when we follow the instructions and meditate, at one point of time, when there is grace of Ishvara, when there's grace of Guru, and when this grace of the self is complete, we will experience that consciousness. Tapobhihi kshina papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshunam apekshoyam atma bodho vidhiyate. So this Atma Bodha is for that person who has purified their mind by tapasya, by austerities, and all the vasanas, the impurities of the mind, the sins of the mind have been dissolved by austerities, and their mind is very calm. Shantanam, Vitaraginam, they are not attached to any desires in this world. Mumukshunam, they are a mumukshu. They desire liberation. Apekshaha, considering that mumukshu, I am Atma Bodhaha Vidhiyate. This Atma Bodha, this text called Atma Bodha has been expressed, has been written, says Bhagavan Sri Adisankaracharya. With this, we complete this beautiful text called Atma Bodha by the grace of the Guru and by the grace of Ishvara. So tomorrow we will have the regular Vision of Vedanta session with a new text, and I am thinking it is going to be Trupti Deepa Prakarana from Panchadashi. Let me see. Let us see tomorrow how it turns out. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मंगलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसोर्मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ. बोले श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. हर नमः पार्वती पतये. हर हर महादेव. हरि ओम.